It is indeed an honor to appear before you today in this, the dedication of Adlai E. Stevenson High School. As the birth of a child is not only a beginning, but the continuation of the human race, the opening of a new school is not only a beginning, but the continuation of an educational system which provides for the development of our young people. Dedication ceremonies take place but once in the life of a school. To be a part of this dedication is a great honor and a definite privilege. The remarks that I convey to you today regard the status of vocational education within the total picture of education. Time and time again, you and I have both heard the phrase, "The world is getting smaller." In fact, most of us have heard this statement so many times that we accept it as truth and do not spend even a moment to analyze it. This is indeed unfortunate because it is a statement that is not altogether true. I will concede that the world has grown smaller with respect to transportation and communication, but realistically the world has also grown and expanded. The world of choice has expanded 1,000-fold in the score of years since World War II. Choice in consumer goods, choice in job opportunities, and the corresponding choice within the school curriculum are greater than ever before. All facets of American free enterprise have changed and must continue to change to meet the demands of the present and the future. Industry has changed. Henry Ford once said, "You can have any color car you want as long as it's black." Look on the highways, on the streets, and in the parking lots, and you will readily discover that the auto industry has changed its philosophy greatly since the days of Henry Ford. The auto industry is illustrative of the many changes that have taken place which have allowed greater choice to consumers than ever before. Our way of living has changed. Consider the tremendous trend toward urbanization. The rural population of the United States has dropped while the number of persons living in urban areas has increased fantastically. Already, we see evidence of future patterns of living. Our cities and their suburbs are becoming more and more sprawling. Within 50 years, perhaps less, we can envision strip cities in various sections of the country. In our own section, we can anticipate a continuous urban development along the western shore of Lake Michigan, from Green Bay, Wisconsin, down through the Chicago area to Gary, Indiana, Detroit, Michigan, and Cleveland, Ohio, on to Buffalo, New York. Does this sound fantastic? It is fantastic, but the world of the future will be equally fantastic. Job opportunities have changed, and certainly the changes in consumer offerings and the changes in our world of living have contributed to the changes in job opportunities. Consider, if you will, the outlook for employment today as compared with a short 25 years ago. In 1940, few would have considered television as an area of work. It is only within the last 10 years that young people could seriously consider a career as an astronaut. And what about the future? Perhaps your sons and daughters will be working in space platforms circling the moon. Perhaps they will manage a restaurant located under a plastic bubble on the floor of the ocean. And what other job opportunities lie ahead? I do not have a crystal ball, and I can say, however, that the jobs of the future will differ significantly from the jobs of today. Employees will require greater skills as jobs become more complex. Workers must also be adaptable, for changes in the nature of work will continue. And what about education? Education has changed and must continue to change in order to meet the challenges of the changing world. We are dedicating a school today, and I propose that we dedicate this building and all it stands for to the principle of change. Not change for the sake of change, but change with the express purpose of keeping up with a changing environment of society and work, so that our students will be better prepared to meet the many challenges of the changing world of the future. But the establishment and development of a school is not an easy task. Consider, if you will, this fable, which was taken from a 1949 issue of the School Administrator. Once upon a time, the animals decided they must do something heroic to meet the problems of a new world. So they organized a school. They adopted an activity curriculum consisting of running, climbing, swimming, and flying. To make it easier to administer the curriculum, all the animals took all the subjects. The duck was excellent in swimming, in fact, better than his instructor. But he made only passing grades in flying and was very poor in running. Since he was slow in running, he had to stay after school and also drop swimming in order to practice running. This was kept up until his webbed feet were badly worn, and he was only average in swimming. But average was acceptable in school, so nobody worried about that except the duck. The rabbit started at the top of the class in running, but had a nervous breakdown because of so much makeup work in swimming. The squirrel was excellent in climbing until he developed frustration in the flying class, where his teacher made him start from the ground up instead of the treetop down. He also developed Charlie horses from overexertion, then got C in climbing and D in running. The eagle was a problem child and was disciplined severely. In the climbing class, he beat all the others to the top of the trees, but insisted on using his own way to get there. At the end of the year, an abnormal eel that could swim exceedingly well and also run, climb, and fly a little had the highest average and was valedictorian. The prairie dog stayed out of school and fought the tax levy because the administration would not add digging and burrowing to the curriculum. They apprenticed their child to a badger and later joined the groundhogs and gophers to start a successful private school. Does this fable have a moral? I believe it has a very definite moral. That is, just as Henry Ford had made a statement of uniformity for the auto industry years ago, and just as the auto industry expanded its offerings and the nature of its product to meet the many different needs, demands, and desires of the consuming public, likewise education must offer a wide program to satisfy the many needs, wants, and desires of the educational community which it serves. One facet of education is vocational education. And what is vocational education? This is a question that is oftentimes asked, but rarely answered to the satisfaction of most people. In search of an answer that is satisfactory, let me give you my impression of vocational education. Namely, all education, regardless of department or division, is at least partially vocational in nature. Students enrolled in languages and sciences, for example, do so not only because they will become better citizens and gain a greater understanding of the world around them, but also because these subjects will give the student knowledge to assist him in his chosen work in the years ahead. The world of work demands a well-qualified and a well-rounded individual, regardless of the career which that individual will pursue. Some people have chosen careers that require a college degree. In some cases, work beyond the baccalaureate degree. Others have chosen careers for which a 2-year program beyond high school will provide the necessary training. And for others, high school training in itself is an adequate beginning. However, all students must plan to update themselves once they enter the world of work, regardless of the level of formal education they achieve. Neither a high school diploma nor a college degree will be sufficient if the person does not study constantly to keep pace with the world about him. At Stevenson High School, the Division of Vocational Education consists of home economics, industrial arts, and business education. These areas currently serve many of the needs of the students of our community. These areas, with the exclusion of the freshman enrichment program, which does include industrial arts for girls and home arts for boys, are entirely elective in nature. Yet, an analysis of our student body finds that approximately 1/3 of our students are enrolled in at least one course in business education, Approximately 30% of the girls are enrolled in home economics, and approximately 35 to 40% of the boys are enrolled in industrial arts. But going back to the earlier statement that all education is at least partially vocational in nature, you might ask, what about English, foreign languages, mathematics, science? Any person going into the business world today as a secretary, typist, or bookkeeper needs to be able to communicate. Accordingly, their need for quality education in English is great. They must have a functional command of basic mathematics. They must be well-rounded in the area of humanities, music, art, and social studies, in order to be well accepted by fellow workers, their superiors, and the community at large. Certainly, a person pursuing an industrial arts program will find great advantage in having basic understandings in these areas as well. You might also ask, how is home economics vocational? Do not the girls learn to cook and sew and do the things the ordinary housewife would do? The answer is yes, but a qualified yes. Not only do these girls learn to do these things, but they learn to do them well. Today, many women are in our labor force. If they are to be efficient on the job, they must be efficient in the home. A working woman does not have a full day to devote to home management. She must be extremely efficient in the reduced amount of time she has available for this important task. I have not gone into any detail on the individual courses offered within the Division of Vocational Education. My task, as I see it, is to bring to you the scope of vocational education and the reasons for including specialized instruction within the curriculum of this high school. Our basic goal is to make students independent and self-supporting. To do this effectively, the divisions of Adlai E. Stevenson High School function interdependently. Man does not live by bread alone, and we realize this. We also realize that he must achieve the basic tools in high school to enable him to earn his bread rather than having it given to him. In closing, let us dedicate this educational facility, Adlai E. Stevenson High School, to the principle of change. And there are two thoughts on change. One is evolution and one is revolution. The two previous speakers have given you their thoughts on it. Evolution would be the gradual development. Revolution would be a quick changeover. Perhaps I can give a compromise that they might accept, and that would be revolutionary evolution. Perhaps those people who are English majors might have some question on this, but maybe the definition will clarify what I mean. Revolution tends to overthrow that which currently exists, and certainly all faculty members of this educational institution are basically satisfied with what we have. Not that what we have will continue to be satisfactory in the future, but that it is a good start. What I propose, therefore, and something I'm sure that everyone would agree with, is that as we change, we do not overthrow everything that we have, but rather that the growth of the curriculum, the growth of specific subject matter, be accelerated, not evolved through a long, drawn-out process. Thank you.